Much for joining our webinar today on our Sage Intacct 2024 R1 update. The thing that we're going to see is an update to the user login screen. So I'm sure a lot of you have had this happen before, where you lock your account by trying too many times to log in with an incorrect password. If you haven't done it here, you've certainly done it somewhere with all the passwords that you have to keep up with. So what they have added now is the ability to have self-service to reset your locked account. So previously, if you had locked your account, you had to reach out to a system admin for them to unlock your account for you, or wait until that could be done and they could get that taken care of. So you had to kind of restock until somebody could log in and unlock your account for you. So what they have added now is a self-service recovery for locking your account. So you do have to set up a security question. So you may have seen on some login attempts where it's asking you for a security question. So you set that up under My Preferences. So when you log into the system, under My Preferences, which you can see under the company menu or under clicking on your name in the top right-hand corner, you will see those options to set up your security questions. So you can set those up. That is going to be required for the self-service recovery for a locked account. So you have to have set up your security questions. And then what you'll see is you'll use that same normal forgot my password link on the login page. And after you've entered in the incorrect information, it'll send you an email on how you can recover your password and get logged in. This does require some setup in the system as well by your system admin. So they have to go in and set a maximum number of verification attempts for a password reset. So previously, we would set the maximum number of times that you could reset your account in a day, the maximum login attempts for a day before it did lock your account. So we do have now that third setting to set a maximum number of verification attempts for a password reset. So that does require the user system admin to go in and set that. It will have a default in there. So if you forget, it will have that default value in there I believe it defaults 5 attempts, but you can adjust that more or less if you want to lock it sooner. And then if you then attempt to reset your password with that recovery, more than that number of times in a day, it will lock your account, which then will require a system admin to unlock it. So just kind of giving the users that ability to also unlock their account, which they weren't able to do previously, so that they're not having to wait until somebody can log in and reset them for them. Okay, so we're excited to see that, just giving the users more control over their logins and kind of taking some of that away from the system admin having to step in and intervene. Okay. This one is a big one. We're super excited about this. If you set up any pay bills filters on that screen, and you may not have encountered this, we know of at least one client who's encountered this, where you've needed to go in and edit or delete those pay bills filters, but someone else created them. And so previously you couldn't delete those filters if someone else created them. So then you had to kind of figure out who had created them, if that person is no longer with the company, or for whatever reason they've changed roles and they're not available to access that task any longer. They weren't able to delete those filters, so you were kind of stuck out there with them. We've had to, in some instances, even get Intacct support to help us delete those filters out. So it can be a little messy. So we're super excited now. This does allow you to delete those filters that other people have created. And again, it's on the pay bill task when you're selecting those bills to pay that you can delete those. It does require an update to permissions. So there is now a permission in the user or role setup, whichever you have set up in your system, to allow you to delete those filters. So that will require an update to your permissions to be able to delete those, but that will now let you delete those if someone else has created those. Okay. Some additional updates to accounts payable, and this is for early adopters, so this is not going to be rolled out to the general population of users yet. We expect that to be rolled out to general population, but usually when we see these early adopters, it's 1 to 2 releases after that we see it rolled out for all users. So we'll expect this to come for everybody here in soon. But for now, if you are interested in being in the early adopter program for this, reach out to us. We can put your request in and see if there's still space available to be part of that, and see if we can get you to be part of that program. So this update relates to AP automation. So for those of you who maybe aren't using that AP automation yet, that's a fairly new function in and of itself that allows you to set up either a dedicated email box or a shared location that vendors can email their invoices or AP bills into, or you can email those into. You can put them in that upload them to that shared location. And then Intacct is going to take those, they're going to scan those in, they're going to process those bills, enter them in as draft bills on in your AP accounting, in the Intacct accounting system under AP. So they'll be in as draft bills that you can then finalize, enter any additional coding, and post those. So previously, the way this worked is the AP automation would populate the line items, the dimensions, GL account coding, all of that from the most recent bill that had been entered for that vendor. So now what it's doing is it's going to start detecting patterns on how you select dimensions on those bills, so that it's going to get smarter over time, learn what those patterns are, not just use the last time it was coded. And it's going to start learning that so that it can more correctly code your bills for you. So with that AP automation, it's trying to minimize what you're having to manually type in by pulling that from that last bill. Or as we start seeing this rolled out, learning those patterns on how you're coding those bills so that it gets smarter over time and can code that for you. So that then you're just having to do a final review of it and post that bill. So again, with that automation, trying to minimize what we're doing with manually keying information in and allow us to just do reviews and posting of transactions versus practicing our typing skills. So we're really excited to see this. Again, obviously that's going to take some time for the system to learn and get smarter. But we do want to encourage you to start using that even now with the coding that it's doing, where it pulls those in and pulls that coding from the last bill that was entered for that vendor, because even that will still minimize what you're having to enter in. It's going to pull in that vendor ID, the invoice amount, the dates, all that header information, and it's going to populate some line coding that you may just have to update at this point. And then as this is starting to be released, then it will start learning that coding for the line as well. Okay. So we're very excited to see that coming out. Again, automation is a big push for Intacct right now. We're seeing a lot with that on their roadmap. With the Intacct conference that's coming up, we expect to hear even more about what they're doing with the automation. So expect to learn more over time here with automation, because they're really researching that and spending a lot of time and investment in trying to automate lives for us, our tasks for us, to make our lives easier. All right. This one is a good one too. Updates to our imports. Previously, to get your import templates, you had to go to that company import or company setup checklist to import or get your import templates, and it was the long list of them. So you had to kind of scroll down and find the task that you were looking for to get that template. Now you can get those directly from the import page, so you can go directly to that task. So if you're doing journal entries, budgets, any of those things, and you want to get that template, you can go directly to that task to import those, and you'll see an option here to download the template. So just giving you access to that information that's already in the system, but making it a little more accessible to you and a little easier to find. Right now, it's on just a few of these general ledger related functions. So with journal entries, account groups, account group members, allocations, things like that, budgets. We do expect that to continue to be rolled out and included in that, in future releases, have it add more of those templates directly to the import pages. So I fully expect that with the next release, we'll see those rolled out into AP and other places as well. So watch for that as that comes out. But for now, it's in these journal or general ledger related tasks. Okay. This one I personally am super excited about. Can't wait to see this one coming out. This is version history for financial reports. So what this is going to allow you to do is retain that version history for your financial report. So I personally have gone in, I have messed up some of my reports just by accident, not kind of paying attention, whatever the case was, or trying something and getting a little crazy with what I was trying, and then I kind of broke a report. Previously, we always suggested make a copy of that report, duplicate it before you change anything, just so you don't have to worry about having that original copy of it out there. So now, although we still are going to recommend duplicating those before you make any major edits, it is going to now keep your prior versions of that report. So it's going to show up in the audit history. So on the reports itself, you'll see under more actions, the audit history, and you'll be able to see all of those different versions. It does require you to go in and edit the report and save it for that initial version that it's going to capture. So after this release rolls out on Friday, we do recommend at some point in time, slowly over the next couple weeks, go in, just edit each report that you've written out there under financial reports and save it so that it has that start point for that initial version. And then every change that's made after that, it will keep that version history. It will keep up to 100 versions, so a lot of iterations of those reports can be written. A lot of saves on those reports can be done, that it will retain those versions. You can retain or view those prior versions of the reports through that audit history, so you'll see that view link there. Where you can click on those and see those versions of the report. You can also restore those versions of the reports, those prior versions. So if you mess something up and you say, oh, I really want to go back to that prior report, previously you didn't have the ability to do that. You kind of just were stuck. You had to manually go back and try to recreate that. So now you can go in, you can view those, and you can actually go in and restore those. So we're super excited to see that just further enhancement to audit history and what's happening in the system, as well as kind of being able to get back to and restore that information. Okay. This one has been kind of rolling out slowly over the last couple of releases with enhanced list views. So you probably see this in your system now where you can turn on the beta on the list view and see some enhanced functionality with the ability to do some different sorting and filtering with being able to lock the columns. So you can scroll to the right if you've got a lot of columns on there, and it'll kind of lock those first columns so that they're not scrolling. You can still see those. But what they've also now are adding in this release is the ability to see a split view. So what you'll be able to see is similar to this screenshot here. On the left, you can see, for example, the list of vendors. But then as I click on each one over on the right side, it will actually open up that vendor record. So you'll be able to see on the left the actual list view, on the right the details of that resulting from whichever one you click on. So that split view is going to be really fun to see, where you can just kind of move around the system even more fluidly without having to click on something and drill down to get to that vendor or open that vendor, for example. So these enhanced list views, where you see that beta option to turn those on, start turning that on and get familiar with those. Those are going to be things that at some point in the future, they will actually roll out into the product. It won't just be beta. When it's significant changes like this with the list view, they do typically roll those out very slowly, give users the option of applying that. Eventually, they'll probably include the option to, or it'll be rolled out as standard, but they'll give you the option to revert back if you need to kind of adjust. That's typically what they do for these significant changes like this. And so, but we recommend when you see those beta options out there, start playing with them, get used to them. So on those list views where you see that beta option, click on that and you'll get to see kind of what new feature function is going to roll out. It is not available on all the list views yet throughout the system. So where we see that is in AP, under vendors, and a couple places there in the AP module. So it's not completely rolled out through the system yet, but we'll continue to see that with future releases as well. Okay. With that, that's kind of the big stuff that's coming out. You can always see from the home page and from your login to your Intacct environment the release notes, so you're able to go out there and view those, read those release notes that are out there. They've published those already in the system, so you can see those today. Again, Friday night the release will be rolled out. So watch for that and watch for this new feature functions that will be available starting on Saturday morning.